Hello and welcome back to Chatty TV Junkie. I'm your TV Junkie Wendy, and welcome back for this episode, which is going to be Golden Bachelor, the fantasy suites. If you are a new subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I was going to put this video up yesterday. Yesterday was a really hard day. It's actually been a very hard day today too. It's actually now Saturday evening, and we had to put my cat down yesterday. So if you've watched a few episodes ago, a couple weeks ago, when we found out he was getting really uncomfortable, he had bladder cancer, and it's really sad, and I'm holding it together right now. But yeah, he had to go to the Rainbow Bridge, and he was starting to suffer, and you don't want that animal to do that. You know, now I understand Dr. Jack Kevorkian. They need to do that with people. Like when you're of sound mind and you decide that you're in excruciating pain and you don't want to deal with it anymore and there's no hope for you, then why shouldn't you be able to do it? I mean, that's what we're doing for our animals. He was starting to exhibit pain. We were giving him things that were keeping him comfortable, but it was also pushing the kidney failure quicker, which we were told it was going to do. And even if I had given him 6 months more, he would have been under chemo and radiation. I've been through chemo and radiation. It's not fun. Why would I want to do that to an animal? So anyway, I digress. But it's, like I said, it's been a moment. So it's going to be a happier time right now. We're going to talk about the Golden Bachelor, which I wish this show was on every single week, like for the entire year, because it is so enjoyable. We are down to 2 women. We've got Leslie and we've got Teresa. Now, I'm going to tell you my theories here. Okay, let's start off with the first fantasy suite. By the way, we are in Costa Rica this week. That is where they are. And they had a great date. They did rappelling, and they put her close to this giant waterfall. I'm wondering why they didn't put him there to be a little chivalrous, but she kept swinging into the waterfall. I felt really bad for her. I don't think I could propel. I'm afraid of heights, and with my luck, I'd be the one that would be smashing into the rocks on my way down. But so once they got down there, they hung out for a little bit, and they sat in what looked like might have been either the whirlpool at the bottom, maybe with warm water, but you know, they're hanging out and talking. Now, I think that he knows Leslie really well. I think they've bonded. They've got a mental connection, and they've got a physical connection because of that kiss a couple episodes ago where he told her he loved her, and you could just see the steaminess between the two of them. So they go to the fantasy suite, and we don't know what happens, because when they did an interview with Gerry, he's like, I know you guys all want to know what happens in the fantasy suites, but it's not your effing business. We're like, ooh, getting a little salty there. I mean, one of the funny things they did as they were panning away is they pulled out, and it was just dark, and they showed, like, you know, the outside of the villa. And he's like, gosh, it's hot in here. And he goes, oh my gosh, it's 80 degrees. He goes, what do you like the temperature set at? She goes, 69. So we're like, oy. So don't really know what they did in the fantasy suite. I don't think we need to know, but needless to say, they definitely have chemistry. And the thing is like I said, he really knows her well. And at dinner, before they made it to the fantasy suite, he was asking her about the living situation. And she said, well, you know, I am in Minnesota, and I know you're further west. She said, but it will make it work. You know, you'll have, you know, you have your place, I have my place, but if we want to be with each other, we'll make it work. And he goes, I agree with that. The only thing that I think may give him a second thought, even though he really, really likes this girl, or maybe be in love with her, is the fact that she told him that she's never had her forever. Like, he had his forever, happily ever after. Unfortunately, it didn't last because his wife passed away. But she said that she's never had her happily ever after because her first 2 marriages didn't work out. Now, I don't know if that's a red flag for him to be like, oh, what is it about the relationship she's been in that makes her not have her happily ever after? Was it all them? Was it her and them? You know, so that's the only thing I can think of right now. So now we go into the second date. He leaves her. Let's say it's Tuesday morning. He leaves her, and then literally a few hours later, he's now on a date with another woman. After the high of being with Leslie, he now is with Teresa. So he's not into it at the beginning of the date. They're on horses. He's really, really quiet. Teresa is such a patient person. If you remember on one of their first dates, actually it was their first one-on-one date, They were driving, and he was having problems with the car, and she put her hand on his shoulder and was like, it's okay, we'll get through this. And that is really what resonated with him. It resonated with him that she's very calming, she's very cool and collected, and the fact that they both have lost significant others that were their happily ever after, but she's also a widow. So I've always said from the beginning, I think he's going to end up with a widow, but I don't see the connection between them. And here is another case in point. They're having dinner, and he's like, so tell me when he finally gets into the date, he's like, so tell me what you do for a living. She's your final two. Shouldn't you already know this information? You're going to make a decision as to whether or not you're going to be engaged, and you don't know what this woman does for a living. Does anyone else find that weird? It's really, really strange. It's just really weird that you would not know what the person that you're really, really into and are thinking of marrying to this point, like the next week, you're going to be proposing potentially, and you don't know what she does for a living. I don't understand. How could you not have those conversations? So he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so impressed because she's a trader and she started doing it on her own. And then her husband's like, we really need health insurance. She goes, I got it. She was lined up with other college kids to get this particular job. And they were like, you've got it. And they gave it to her. And she did really, really well. And I don't think she still works. And so he was asking her, well, at what point would you work till? And she's like, well, if we decide that it's time for me to, then I would. I don't think I would do that. I don't think I would give up working unless I would, be able to work and travel at the same time. I mean, I'm my own boss, so I can work and travel, but I don't know. But I just find it really weird that he didn't know what she did for a living. So then they go into the fantasy suites. Of course, she says yes. We don't know what they did either. But now at the end of this date, he seems like he's leaning in the Teresa direction because it's comfortable. But she also lives further. She lives in New Jersey. They didn't talk about how they would work out. At least I don't remember that part. How they would work out living in the same city. She's got grandkids. He's got grandkids. So it was just weird. I just find the whole Teresa in him issue weird. And now, because of that second date, at first I was like, oh yeah, he's totally going Leslie. Leslie. But now, after this other date, and once he finally got into it, and they got into talking and more like that, I think he's going to go with the comfort, I'm thinking. Because they're both widows. She has a calming effect on him. He also had said that if he goes with Leslie, he'll have a good time. But what is it that he really wants? Does he really want a good time? Or does he want the comfort and the just like sitting on the couch reading books and enjoying each other's company? That's the Teresa vibe I'm getting. With the Leslie vibe, I'm getting, hey, let's go to a wine bar tonight. Let's go dancing. And that's the vibe I'm getting from her. But he is really active. He does pickleball. He does all kinds of outdoor activities. So I don't know who he's going to pick at this point. He's going for Leslie. And now I'm thinking, well, maybe he is going to go with comfort. So I don't know. I personally think he should pick Leslie. I would pick Leslie. I think I see the chemistry between them. But again, I'm not his brain. I don't know what he's looking for. So that's my 2 cents. What do you guys think? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you not this next week because I'm taking the week off for Thanksgiving, but the following week. And we'll talk some more. All right. Have a great Thanksgiving. Bye.